Hello and welcome to Stormont Live. As predicted, the DUP have dumped the Irish Language Act. In a statement to the Chamber today, Culture Minister Edwin Poots announced his intention not to proceed with legislation. Sinn Féin say the DUP have reneged on St Andrews. So is it slant to Stormont, Geoditch Downing Street as the focus shifts from here to Westminster? We'll try and find out in a moment. Let's move on to one of the other issues that has been prominent today. It's the Irish Language Act. The Culture Minister, Edwin Poots, couldn't have spoken more clearly. He doesn't intend to introduce Irish language legislation at this time. Mr Poots said he remained unpersuaded despite his own department's consultation, which showed a majority of 65% in favour of some legislation.
Having reviewed the responses to both consultation processes and reflected carefully on all the relevant issues, I remain unpersuaded that there is a compelling case for bringing forward Irish language legislation at this time. My reasons are as follows. In view of the political sensitivities surrounding linguistic and cultural policy issues, the actual proposal to introduce an Irish language bill is clearly divisive throughout our community. This has given rise to highly politicised claims and counterclaims. As a community, we are challenged to find new ways of managing our rich cultural diversity. Indeed, this is enshrined in a duty placed upon the Executive by the Northern Ireland Act 2006 to adopt a strategy setting out how it proposes to enhance and protect the development of the Irish language, and adopt a strategy setting out how it proposes to enhance and develop the Ulster Scots language, heritage and culture. In this regard, the UK Government signed the European Charter for Regional or Minority Languages on March 2000, and it was ratified on the 27th of March 2001. The Charter came into force on the 1st of July 2001. The European Charter for Regional or Minority Language is an international convention designed to protect and promote regional and minority languages. In Northern Ireland, the Charter applies to Irish and Ulster Scots. The Committee of Experts examining the implementation of the Charter within the UK has recommended the development of a comprehensive policy for the Irish language. It is my assessment that the proposal to introduce Irish language at this time is unlikely to command the necessary support of the Assembly on the grounds of being incapable of securing sufficient consensus. If we reflect on the introduction of legislation in Wales, the Republic of Ireland and Scotland, their experience clearly shows that giving legislative effect to linguistic policies needs to be advanced in a depoliticised manner capable of commanding broadly based community support. The two consultation processes to date on the proposal to introduce Irish language legislation and the ensuing public commentary clearly demonstrate the lack of community consensus on this issue. Furthermore, I am of the view that the legislative route would be counterproductive to the enhancement and protection of the development of the Irish language, given the sensitivities involved. Advancing this proposed legislation, which is unlikely to command sufficient consensus within the community at this time, has the potential of damaging good relations, increasing polarisation and entrenching patterns of antipathy and suspicions. In my assessment, this could seriously undermine the efforts of those in the Irish language-speaking community who genuinely want to see the language developed in a depoliticised and wholly inclusive manner.
That was the Culture Minister Edwin Poots earlier outlining why he's shelving plans for an Irish Language Act. The Sinn Féin President, Gerry Adams, was unconvinced with the Minister's decision.
Does the Minister agree that it costs exactly the same to provide English language services as it does Irish language services? Does the Minister agree, and maybe he will reflect on this, that he did a disservice to two languages this morning? One, the English language, in the perverted way that he tried to put forward spurious reasons for his judgment this morning, and a disservice also to the Irish language. Would the Minister also accept that the way to depoliticise Irish language rights are to make them an administrative matter? And would the Minister also take the opportunity to spell out to us how he intends to deliver on the commitments his party and he has made in relation to the Irish language in the St Andrews Agreement? And then finally, if the Minister would accept that one way or other there will be an Irish Language Act.
Call the Minister. Minister, your time is over.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In terms of equivalence of costs, translation comes at a cost, and I have identified the cost very clearly, and I have identified the lower level of costs that would take place as opposed to the higher level of costs. And in terms of education, for example, I understand that there are around 4,000 children in the Irish language medium section of education, and those costs are clearly higher than the costs of education within mainstream. And if the educationists within this particular chamber want to look at that they will identify that it costs more money currently to educate children in the Irish medium education sector than it does in mainstream. And that is a choice for another minister to make, but she has to do that within a budget that is applied to her, and that should be reflected upon whenever we come to making budgetary decisions, because I understand that the Department of Education needs substantially more money than what it currently has to deliver many of its key priorities. In terms of depoliticising the Irish language, I think some of the members across the chamber could greatly assist in this, because every time some members get up and speak in broken Irish, it does nothing to encourage the wider community